show you guys, once I get my little slideshow on here. Slideshow. You guys have seen the movie of me and my daughter Tessa going to Africa, so I'm going to show you some pictures of our trip that you probably didn't see in the film. But I tell you a bit more about why Run for Water exists, how it came about, and how it got started, and a little bit about some of the things that I love, which is I love traveling, I love animals, I love kids, and I love helping people. So that was one of the things that we got to do with Run for Water. So let me tell you a story. A little bit about, this is some background here. This is, let me turn my thing on. Africa is a huge, huge continent, like really big, and you have to take a plane to get there, right? And one of the things that I love about Africa is there's so many different people, foods, animals, everything there. And if I can think if this works, I'm going to show you some of the cool stuff I'm talking about. No, it might work. All the time like this. Look at that. So there's Ethiopia. That's the country we went to in Africa. It's a really big country, and one of the cool things about Africa is there's lots and lots of animals. And when we were there, we got to go on this like a safari. But in Ethiopia, it's different than Kenya, which is another country in Africa. They don't really have safaris, so you just have to kind of get in someone's truck that you know, and they'll say, I think there's some animals out here. So we were out in this area right here, there's a bunch of long grass and weeds, and the guy said, I think there's some like zebra around here. So Tess and I get out of the truck and we start walking through the high grass, and my daughter was about 12 at the time, and all of a sudden we come behind this tree and there's a zebra right there. Like that's pretty close to and all of a sudden he put his head up and he could see me, and there was all of a sudden we came around this other tree, there's like 50 zebra. I go, this is a pretty cool place. We got zebra there. And after we finished the zebra, I thought, well, if there's zebra there, there's some other animals too. And as I'm walking back to the truck, I see this weird thing flying in the air. It's pretty small, but it was like at least that big. And this little kid goes like this in the air, and he pulls this, whatever it was, and he grabs it and puts it in his pocket. I said, what do you got there? He goes, they started explaining to me that these kids don't have toys, so what they do is they capture these bugs. Now that's a real bug, it's bizarre, but it's about that big. And they put tiny little strings that they get from trees, they make the little strings out of them, they tie it around their waist, it's got wings, and they use it as a little pet, and they put it in their pocket, they go to hang out, walking around, take their little guy out, it flies around on this little string, but they get to control it, they pull it back and put it in their pocket. I want to take a picture of it because I couldn't believe it. That thing's that big, look at that. That's a crazy bug. The only problem is, they said, you got to be careful, because if you get them angry, they can bite you, and it can get a big, you can swell up pretty bad. Who wants to keep a bug that's going to bite you, and it's going to bite you? They're fine with that. We drive a little bit further, and I see these guys in wheelbarrows of bananas. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. How much for like a wheelbarrow of bananas? Like, 10 cents. 10 cents for a whole wheelbarrow of bananas. They just picked them out of their backyard that day. So Africa's pretty cool. They got animals, they got crazy bugs, they can kind of sting you. They got bananas, like for 10 cents, that's pretty cool. They also have something that I love so much, coffee. And I went to a place where they grow some of the best coffee in the world. And actually Ethiopia is considered, if your mom and dad drink coffee, Ethiopia is considered the first place in the world where they started growing coffee. Interesting, right? It grows on a bush, and it's like a berry, and you pick the berry, see a little bit of red, like a cherry, and you let it dry out in the sun, and then the outside of the cherry shell, you peel it off, and inside's a bean. You take that bean, you roast it up, you grind it up, put some water in there, you got coffee, and I had a beautiful coffee this morning. So that's pretty cool. They go coffee there. We don't do that here. So, Africa's a pretty cool place. Ethiopia's pretty cool. But the coolest thing, I think, for my daughter was she met a little friend. We were staying in this little, it's not really a house, it's a small little hut. We're sleeping in there. One morning we wake up, we hear all this kind of scratching outside, and we're kind of a little nervous because there's animals everywhere, right? We get outside, and there are these two wild monkeys. Now they're small. And my daughter, every day, we kind of like want to get close to her because she wants to like pet a monkey. Who doesn't want to hang out with a monkey? So she's like, I want to hang out with a monkey, right? So I said, Tessa, they're wild, they're not going to come to you. And all the people that live down there go, no, these are like, we don't want these monkeys. They get stuff, they can climb in, they get into your house, they take stuff, they throw stuff down. So they throw rocks at the monkeys, they chase them away. And Tessa's like, no, don't chase them away. I want to play with them. So we were there for about 5 days. So every day she's like, and I'm like, whatever, Tessa, it's not going to work. Day 3, I come out, I went for a run. I come back, this is what I see. I'm not kidding you, this is a crazy wild monkey. It finally came to her. She started petting it. By the end of the day, she's holding it. Now here's where it gets crazy, right? So then we have to leave the monkey because we're going somewhere else. She's like, yeah, leave it. She goes, oh, I want it. So she puts it down, walks away. She said, I was holding it down. I know it's amazing. So then we have to drive to another village. And we'll get to this village when we come to. But while we're driving, this is the kind of some of the roads that we have. Look at that road. That's normal. That's going to work. Just going to work. You have to go through a river because the road's washed out. There's no bridge right there. So we have to go through that river with our car. I thought that was kind of a cool picture. So we go for the day to the village. Right? We come back, and Tessa's like, I'm going to work with this monkey one more time. So she does. She gets it to fall asleep in her arms. That's pretty amazing. But then she rocks it. It falls asleep. Actually, I got a little video. This is the monkey. This is the monkey with Tessa. This is in our little place we're staying. She's petting it. It's falling asleep. That's crazy. She's like, Dad, it's falling asleep in my arms. That was pretty precious. There's my daughter Tessa, and that's the monkey that fell asleep in her arms. We thought that was pretty cute. But here's the thing that we came to see when we got to this village. One of the things about Africa is they've got amazing bugs, they've got amazing animals, they've got monkeys, they've got bananas that are cheap, they've got coffee, they've got so much stuff. But the one thing they don't have, which is more important than all those things, is they don't have access to clean drinking water. See, we wake up, we go to the tap, we turn it on, boom, we got clean water. We don't even think about it. You guys have water in your classroom, but they don't have water that's close to them. They used to be right by a river, a massive river, and they could just go down to the river and get water anytime they wanted, and they've lived there for hundreds of years. They've been there a long, long, long time, longer than Canada's been around. These people have lived by this river. But over the last 10 years, only 10 years, the river has dried up, and now it's just mud, and they can't get water from this river anymore. So they have to walk a long, long way to try to get some clean water. And you know who walks? It's the girls. The little girls are the ones who have to walk. And this girl we met, she had to walk 10 kilometers to get her water for her family. The boys go to school, and they tend to the sheep and the cattle and the animals. The girls, they take care of the water. And it takes sometimes 2 to 3 hours in the heat to get water. So this is what we came to see. Look at this girl. This girl is about 8 years old. She's getting water for her family because she's the oldest girl in her family. And she has to get water. They put it on these things on their back. Now, where they're getting water from, it's trickling out of this tiny little underground place where the river used to be. And they have to dig down into the mud, and they fill up a little cup, but it's just muddy, gross water. And the other gross thing I saw was that just a couple of feet away was some cows. Cows are going to the bathroom, and all that stuff seeps into the water. And I'm going, no, don't drink that. That's disgusting. What are you doing? And I'm asking the people that I'm with, why are they drinking that? And they said, this is the closest water they've got. There's no other water around. And I'm going, you're telling me that the only water these people have is this muddy, gross, dried up stream with all these animals and everything else who need water, and all that germs and bacteria get in there. And they go, yeah, we have no other options. This is all we've got. And I said, that seems wrong. That there's kids in this world that have to do this every day and they don't get to go to school. To me, that seemed wrong when I saw that. I didn't like that. We came back to the village. We met this little family. And I met a little boy. His name was Mikhail, and he was about 5 years old. So he was in kindergarten. I bet these kids went to some kindergarten. He was here at 5. Yeah. But this little boy was about 5 years old. And we met him, and when we were walking up to the place, remember in the movie, we saw him laying there? And I saw him there, and I realized this little boy was very sick. And I asked him, what's wrong with this little guy here? And this little guy, a thorn, he was playing outside, and he got a thorn stuck in his leg. Well, he came to his mom, he was crying a little bit, his mom pulled out a little thorn, no big deal. See, at home, you would fall down from your bike, or you're running around on the street or something, you scrape your leg, you come home, mom or dad, you get a little bit of water, and they wash that little cut up, right? They clean it up, because you don't want any dirt getting in there, right? Same with this little boy. He came home, he had a little cut in his leg, he had a little thorn in his leg. Came home to his mom, and his mom got some water, and she washed this cut with the water. But the water she was using was that water that I saw. And you know what's in that water? Bacteria, germs, dirt. So she takes this cut, and what she's doing as a mom, what she's trying to do the best she can as a mom, she wants to help her son, who just came home, and she's crying because he's got a cut in his leg. And all she's got to do is she's trying to get it cleaned up, and she pours this water onto his little leg. And what's happening inside that water is these little bugs, little bacteria bugs. And those bacteria bugs get inside of his little cut. And now those bacteria bugs are in his leg. And in 5 days, this boy's leg was swollen up. It was infected. And when I saw him, he could barely sit up. He couldn't drink. He couldn't eat. He had a fever. He had an infection. He had a disease inside of him now. Why? Because his mom was trying to help him. And she put that dirty water on his leg, but that's all she had. And that made me just so sad that this is the reality for this little boy. And I realized when I was talking to them that they said, this little boy's not going to make it. This boy is really sick. We've got to get him some help. And I said, well, how much is medicine for this boy? It's $5, but it's really far away. They don't have the money. And you know what? I said, I can't take it. Can we put him in our Jeep and drive him to get this boy some help? And so I asked the people we were with, can we drive him there to get some help? And they said, listen, we are not doctors. That's not what we're doing here. We're here to talk about water and how to fix up this whole village. You can't fix this kid. There's hundreds of kids like this. So we got into the Jeep to drive away, and my daughter is crying. She's like, Dad, you cannot take me to Africa, show me a little boy like this, and then have to drive away from him. And she said, this is wrong. She was so mad and crying at the same time. You know when you're kind of angry and sad at the same time, it's all this emotion? That's what she was feeling. And she said, Dad, we've got to go back and do something for this little boy. So we drove back, and I said, okay, we've got to help him. We put him and his dad in a Jeep. We drove him to this little, about half an hour away to this little hospital place. They gave him a couple of needles, which helps fight the infection. And they said, you know, he's going to get better. He's got to take about 5 days, but he's going to get better. So we left him hoping that he was going to get better. But before we left that village, I wanted to see the water that I brought in the car that I was drinking compared to the water they were drinking. This is a picture of my water versus their water. That's what I'm drinking, and this is what they're drinking. Like, that doesn't seem right. You guys would never drink that. If I handed you a glass of water, you'd go, ew. Pour that out and say, can I get a glass of water, please, not a glass of dirt? And that's what they're drinking, and I was shocked. When we left that village and went back to our place where we were staying, and the next day, we went to a place that had clean water. And the thing about this place was that Run for Water, the year before, was able to get pipes. And they put these pipes with the people in the village. They dug a trench, and they put pipes in because there's a spring. There's an actual nice spring of water that bubbles out of the ground. It's way high up in the mountain. So Run for Water, with the people in that village, they got a trench, and they got this bubbling water that came out. They put it in a clean pipe, and they piped it all the way down to their village. And now when they come down to this village, there's little taps just outside their school and outside their houses, and they can turn it, and it's clear, beautiful water. And I thought, this is what's got to happen for all these people in this area. We can help them. It didn't cost that much. And these are the kids that I met at the school where we had helped, where Run for Water was able to raise some money and help these kids get some clean water. And they were so excited because the girls were in school. They didn't have to go all day walking to get water. These are the girls that were pretty excited. They were skipping. They were happy. They're like, our lives are so much different because we've got water. I thought, that's so simple. It's just water, and this makes your life so much better. Here's a picture of the tap that in one of the taps we installed about 8 with Hope International, the development agency we work with. And they put these things up with the people there, and that's a tap that just opens up. You get the clean, beautiful water. And that, to me, was pretty exciting to see. This is the way it should be for all these villages. So now this is how they go get their water in the morning. They get these big jugs, and they fill them up with clean water, and they walk 10 feet back to their house. They fill up all their jugs they need, and then the girls can go to school. I thought, this is pretty cool. Here's another girl that we met that was pretty exciting. And then Tessa said, well, the last school that she went to in the first village, it was all boys. Because the girls, they have to go tend to the water. And so Tessa's like, well, I want to go see what a school looks like now that has water. So we went to this school. So here's Tessa in a school, and there's girls there that are wearing these green uniforms, which is pretty cool. Now, in this one school, in one schoolroom, there's about 60 kids, and they had about 6 or 7 schoolrooms. And I talked to the principal of this school, and I said, so, like, what's it like, now you've got clean water? And he started laughing. He says, my class and our class sizes have doubled because all the girls are in school. And he told me this, that when girls go to school, this is something magical, that when girls go to school, they change the entire village. Because they grow up as moms, and they start thinking about their own kids, and they start thinking about hygiene, staying clean. They start thinking about starting a little business. This one mom I talked to said, well, I've got clean water now, so I can water, I have a couple of goats. And now I'm milking some of those goats, and I'm selling some of that water, that milk from those goats, to my neighbors, and I'm making some more money for my family because I want my daughters and my son to be able to keep going to school. I thought, that's pretty cool. These moms because these girls are going to school, these moms are starting to dream about the stuff for their kids. And that to me is really exciting. All because of something so simple as water. Well, we finished this village, and we went back, and we were about to go. The next day we had to fly out of there, and Tessa said, Dad, I know how that little boy's doing. The little boy that we met 4 days ago, is he doing okay? I said, well, they don't have any phones, they don't have cell phones, we can't just call them. They live in huts, they live in a different world, Tess. We'll never know. I hope he's doing okay. I think he is. She said, Dad, we've got to go check it out. I said, Tessa, he's 4 hours away by car. We've got to drive for 4 hours. She goes, Dad, it's worth it. We've got to go find out how this kid's doing. We got the Jeep. We drove through that crazy stream again with a big river. We went back through that thing all the way back to this village to see how the little boy was doing. And we got in there, and this was him 5 days later. Look at his eyes. They're so different. He was running around, and Tessa brought a little stuffed animal. And she brought this little stuffed animal to him. And he looked at it. He didn't know what to do with it. He kind of got scared like this because it looks like a fuzzy little, he'd never seen a stuffed animal. And she's like, she doesn't know how to explain it. Like it's a bear. No, it's not a, well, you don't have bears here, but it's an animal, and you hug it, but it's not going to bite you. It's cuddly, and he's just holding out this. He didn't know what to do with it. And so she kind of showed what you do. You hug it, you cuddle it. And so eventually he held the stuffed animal, and about a minute or two later, he got this big grin, and he started running, and he started showing all of his friends. He's got this cool little stuffed panda bear. There's no panda bears in Africa, right? But it's the only stuffed animal Tessa brought. And she gave it to him. That was pretty cute. Now, the neat thing about that was last year, a friend of ours, Rico, was actually in this village. Here's the same boy. And they took a picture of him a year later. He's growing, he's doing great, and this village has clean water. And so that was pretty exciting about that. That's a little bit about my trip to Africa. Now, I want you guys to learn something today, because I told you about some cool stories. I told you about how water works, but I need some volunteers. So I need some, let's get you guys, I'm going to take you and you'd be great, you'd be good, and one of the 4 of you come on up here. Now, why don't you guys stand right up here, okay? You face the audience, okay? You guys are my volunteers, that's awesome, that's great. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to help me out. Now, these are nummy, let me just see what they're like. They're so good. This way. These are so good. They're real fruit, I guess. They're really gummy, like gummy bears, right? So here's how we're going to do this. Second. So tasty. Let's pretend that each of these gummy bears are kind of gummy guys. They represent clean water, okay? And each of these kids represent different countries in the world, okay? Just a little demonstration of how this is going to work. So, now, let's pretend, what's your name? Megan. Let's pretend Megan was born in a country that has, pretty good clean water. So let's give her 3, just hold them in your hand. She gets 3 clean waters for her. That's pretty cool, eh? So Megan, that's awesome. You keep those. What's your name? Kyle. Okay, Kyle's going to get, he's also born in a country that gets some clean water. Okay, let's get you some clean water. Here's some clean water for you. You get 2. Because not every country has the same amount of clean water. Megan's country's got 3. You got 2, right? What's your name? Sophie. Now, Sophie, How old are you, Sophie? 7. Okay. What's your name? Nicholas. Put out your hand, Nicholas. Can you put your hand out like that? Now, Nicholas is born in Canada. Okay? Now, in Canada, we have more access to clean drinking water than almost any country in the world. We have so many lakes and rivers and mountains and snow, and all of that gives us lots of access to clean drinking water. So here, give me 2 hands, buddy, because this is how much clean water. She's trying to say something. I'm not. You guys, listen. Can you? I didn't hear what you said. Well, just put your hand out. Yeah. Well, I'm all out of clean water, so we're all done. So that's how it works. Is that? How do you feel? How do you feel? Yeah. So does this seem fair, you guys? No. That's not fair. Is this fair to you? That seems a bit crazy, doesn't it? Like he can't even hold it all. He's got so much, and you don't have any, do you? What? Do you have any ideas how we can maybe fix this? Any ideas how would you fix this? So could he give some to Sophie? Do you mind sharing maybe 1 or 2 of those? Why are you sharing Sophie? He's got so many it doesn't even really matter to him, right? You still have lots, don't you? Yeah, you got 3, and he's from Canada. He's got that much. You know what? What's your name? Nicholas. You know what? Nicholas is sharing right now, and that's really cool. Let's give a hand for Nicholas. You can save those, and those are for you, but just eat them after class with your teacher. Right? You know what I noticed? You know what I noticed, guys? Nicholas had this giant amount. He was looking at it, it's like, I don't know how to hold it all. It's crazy. Does he even notice if like 3 or 4 drop? He doesn't even notice he's got so many, right? That's kind of how it is with us. We've got so much stuff in Canada that people in Ethiopia, they got like nothing. They're holding their hands out and they're like, I didn't get any clean water. And it's not their fault. They're just born in a country that doesn't have any clean water. That doesn't seem fair in our world. And yet all of us, like these kids, they're in the same class, right? They're in the same class. We're all in the same world. We all have to start sharing our stuff. And I think you guys, this generation of people, you guys get it. You guys realize that this world needs to be more fair. And something like clean water, every girl in this world and every boy in this world should grow up and have access to clean water. I think that's pretty fair. And it's not even a big deal to us. Because we can share a little bit with them, and they'll get clean water, and they can have better lives. And to me, that's what Run for Water and Hope International is all about. It's about making our world a bit more fair. So I'm going to show you a video that we made. And this tells you a quick little story in a fun little way. So here is hopefully.
Water. For those of us in the developed world, it's a resource too easily taken for granted. We irrigate our fields, fill our swimming pools, and pour ourselves a cool, tall glass, usually without pausing to realize how precious a resource it really is. Those of us who run have a closer relationship with water. We realize the importance of proper hydration and how water nourishes us and sustains when our lips are dry and our throats are parched. Estimates are that 1 billion people on our planet do not have access to a reliable source of clean water. Every 19 seconds, a child under 12 dies for lack of clean water. That's a mother, a father, siblings losing someone they cherish and love, more than 3 times every minute, for reasons that are very preventable. In the last 2 decades, Ethiopia, in particular, has been prone to recurring droughts, which bring on food shortages and famines. When droughts hit, water-related diseases spread uncontrollably, as the limited surface water is quickly contaminated by human and animal waste. Diarrhea and other water-related diseases are the most frequent causes of sickness and death, particularly among young children. The lack of a water source for the people of southern Ethiopia means children, particularly young girls, cannot go to school. It means women cannot tend to their family or pursue a livelihood. Instead, they spend their days attending to their daily water needs, frequently walking for hours to fetch water that is not safe to consume. But there is hope. The Run for Water Society has a partnership with Hope International Development Agency, who is doing something to change this. Hope is a Canadian-based, non-profit international development agency committed to helping the world's poorest families work their way out of poverty. Hope is among the leanest of development organizations, with an amazing 96 cents out of every dollar raised going directly to the water projects. Clean water means women are free to pursue opportunities to improve their families' lives. It means young girls can go to school and pursue an education that will allow them to help build their future communities. It means economic well-being as drought-stricken regions have access to irrigation sources. Hope also takes the form of inspiring the next generation to engage their world as responsible, caring, global citizens. The Run for Water has a unique relationship with their title sponsor, Envision Financial, and together they have built a leading curriculum for students from kindergarten to grade 12, a learning process that builds global intelligence and compassion for those in need. With Hope, the Run for Water Society, and you, we can help bring a source of clean water to the people in the Montana region and change these villages forever. Get involved. Walk 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or run a marathon, and build awareness and raise funds so that people in southern Ethiopia can have access to one of life's most basic needs. Access to reliable, clean water changes everything. And just $35 is enough to provide water to one person for life. Thanks for your part in giving hope.
How many seconds does a child at the age of 12 die from lack of clean water? Back. What's that? 9? No? Yeah, right there. Yeah. No, not 12 seconds. Every 19 seconds. Man, there you go. Every 19 seconds, a child at the age of 12 dies for lack of clean water. That's pretty amazing. Here's a tricky stat that I think is really important when you think about trying to help the world. Hope International, I talked about that. Every dollar that you give to Hope, from that dollar, how many cents from that dollar goes right to the people in Africa? You remember? Yeah. 96. Good job. Now, I want you guys to remember that. When you are thinking about helping charities do some really great stuff in our world, I want you to be kids that grow up thinking about, where does my money go? How much of my money goes to give them private jets to fly around and look at the whole world and give them fancy cars? And how much of the money actually goes to help people that really need help? And that's how we partnered with Hope International, is that they're one of the leanest. That means they use so little money to do what they need to do, and all the rest of the money goes to help real people. So when you hear things happening, there's charities helping, be kids that are thinking about that, going, how much money really goes to the project, and you can find that kind of stuff out. You guys can be responsible donors that give money. I want to raise generations of people that are responsible with their money and think about how to help the world, because I know that this school is a generous school. I can tell. You guys are doing something like this. You're doing a mini run. You're thinking about global issues like water. That to me says this is the kind of school that wants to change the world. And I think that's pretty exciting. I think Urban Academy can be a place, that can be a model for other schools to say, listen, we take our stuff seriously, we take our school seriously, we also see the world. We realize that we have a responsibility as kids to change the world. And you guys can be those kind of kids. So I'm really happy that you guys are on board with saying, we want to do a mini run. We want to raise a little bit of money for Run for Water. $35 gives one kid clean water for the rest of their life. That's not a big deal. 35 bucks, that's a few movies, some popcorn, boom. And one kid gets to go to school, and one kid gets to have clean water for the rest of their life. That to me is pretty exciting. Thank you very much for your time. And
I just want to say a huge thank you again to Randall for coming and showing us all these things. So can we give him a big round of applause? Just while you can see Rainbow's up here, she wants to also show you a neat picture that she's going to bring to share with you. So maybe while she's setting that up, if you have a question, you raise your hand really high, and Randall can.
Sure, right back. Yeah. Yeah. Most of the animals? Yeah, the ones I saw was, did they survive? Yeah, the animals seem to be doing okay. They take care of their animals. And a lot of times the animals, if they're wild, they'll leave an area because there's no water. So they just keep looking for water. The people stay, but the animals leave. So all the lions and those kind of big predator animals, a lot of them have gone because there's just not enough water for them, which is really too bad. Because Ethiopia used to be an amazing place for big game like that. Yeah, good, great question. Yeah. Yeah, so why? Well, if, let's say you needed to drink the water, and your teacher said, well, there's no water in school, you have to go down, all the way down the hill to the river. That's a pretty far walk, isn't it? Yeah, well, that's like her. That's like the girl. They don't have water in their house. They've got to walk all that way to find the water. It's a long time, 4 hours walking. That's a lot, and it's really hot, and that's really heavy. So those are great questions. Yeah, in the back. You know what? I asked the same question. I said, well, that's not really fair. How come some days it could be the boys that have to get the water? And they trade it back and forth. But in that society, they said, you know what? Girls, you do water, because that's kind of the house stuff. And the boys, you do the cows and the goats and take care of that kind of stuff. But you know what's really cool? When Hope International goes into a village, they say, okay, if water is a woman's thing, if only women can take care of water, then when we bring water in, women are in charge of the water. They sit on the water committee. They're the president of the water committee. And water is about food, it's about hygiene, it's about everything. And then they're like, no. We want to be in charge of that now that there's water in the village. And Hope says, no, women take care of water. So they're in charge of water. So now they're the ones, because money comes into the village when you've got water. Because now you can raise crops better, you can raise more animals. And so the women are actually gaining power in these villages because water's coming to them. So I think we're going to see some things change in some of these places. Great question, and I like that you're thinking about that. What's fair between men and women? I like that. Great question. You got anything? Nope. Yeah. Yes. That's a great question, you know, like what if the animals drink this diseased water? Will the milk be diseased? The thing about the milk is that because it comes from inside them, the body kind of purifies it, and the milk is actually really good. But sometimes, some of the animals do get sick if they do, or they're drinking this diseased water as well. So they have to try to water these animals with the best water they've got. That's a great, great question. Yeah, over here.
What if my mom owns a store and we saw like dead pigeons.
Wow.
And I think they were drinking dirty water. That's why can like birds die from water in that?
Yeah, birds can die. I mean, I think anything that's not clean can, really hurt you. If there's dirty bacteria, bugs and stuff, any living creature can not do well, right? So I think it's really important that we learn about these things. Here's one big stat for you that I didn't talk about, but I've got a minute. Do you know how much water they use a day? Because the carry every single bit of water they got on their back. Guess how much water each person in their village either gets to drink with, eat with, and wash with. Each person. Guess. How many liters? Like, you know, a glass of water, like a bottle of water, that's about a liter. How many liters do you think they use a day? Yeah. No, each person uses about 1 to 2 liters a day. That's all they drink with. They spare a little bit on their hands to wash, a little bit for cooking. Guess what? How many liters of water do you think we use in Canada? How many? Before you guess, this is not just drinking. Go through your day. You wake up in the morning. You brush your teeth. Shh. Talking to your sister. Water's still running. Oh, gonna have a shower. La 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 la. 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, water running. Dishwasher on. Go away. Think about all the water we use in a day. Guess how many liters of water the average Canadian uses a day? Yeah. Wow, 410? You got that. That's amazing. We use about 410 bottles of water a day just to live as Canadians because we waste so much water. Turn our sprinkler on. Leave our tap running when we're brushing our teeth. All that water is we use 410. They use 2. That's amazing. I thought that was an amazing stat. Rainbow, what do you got for us?
Well, I know that I was here last year and Urban Time. We did lots of fundraising for Run for Water. We're really, really excited. And you know what? I just came back from Ethiopia about 2 weeks ago. I got to go down south to where Randall was. We got to meet Theo's family again and see how they're doing. And they're doing really well. Little brother is doing well. They're all happy. And anyhow, I was telling them about how you guys here, kids just like them, were raising money so they could get clean water. And they're really excited and really thankful for all your work. So, we have a special prize to say thank you to you guys.
Wow! Very cool!
They're really excited. I told them that you guys would be doing the Run for Water again, and they're just super excited. They just said thank you to you guys.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. You guys have a direct connection from this school to the stories that I just told you. That village. That's pretty cool, eh? That's really neat. It's not just something way out there. It's real. That's awesome. I love that. Thanks for doing that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So can we give them both just one more? Like Randall said, you can see that we are making a difference. That's so neat that Rainbow was able to see that just 2 weeks ago. They're giving you a big thank you. So I hope that Randall and Rainbow and what they have to say really is inspiring you of why we're doing this and why we think it's so important that Urban Academy gives to our world and our community and Ethiopia in this way for such a basic need as water. So as we go away for Easter long weekend, you can get really excited about the change that you're making. You can bring your pledge forms and all those Easter dinners where you'll be drinking some water, I'm sure. You can talk about this and ask people for, we're trying to get everyone to raise at least $35 so we can change, how many students do we have? Like 120? We can change 120 kids' lives forever. So think of that over the weekend. Get excited for Tuesday. Just a reminder, on Tuesday you need to wear your PE strip because you're going to be running. We're going to work your body hard. And make sure you bring a water bottle. We're really lucky to bring water in a water bottle. So think about that over the weekend, all right? So please make sure you're watching for your teachers for directions. And thank you again for being here this morning.